Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Doing Good is Good Business. My name is Sylvie Lessard, and I'm with CFIB. Before we start, I do have a few housekeeping items. First, on your control panel, if you're wondering what that is, it should be a box on the screen. If you don't see it, look for an orange arrow. So on the control panel, there's a section called Questions. And what we'd like you to do is, as the presentation is flowing along, I'd like you to enter your questions as you think of them. And at the end of the webinar, there's a Q&A. There's some time reserved for answering all your questions. And we'll do our best to get to every one of them. So next, I want you to know that you will be receiving an email tomorrow that includes a link to today's recorded session. And if you want to follow along with the presentation, or you'd like to save it, you'll find it in the section called Handouts in the control panel. You just need to click on Handouts. You'll see the presentation there, and then you can save it from there. And finally, there will be a survey once the webinar ends. We encourage you to provide us with feedback. And now here we are. Let's get to the reason we're all here. We're thrilled to welcome Jeff Hufford from Some Good Today to present this webinar. The Do Something Good team is a group of social entrepreneurs that truly care about impact. Their mission is to bring individuals, community organizations, and businesses together on one platform to build stronger local communities all across Canada. Do Some Good is a platform for businesses who care about their communities and who want to demonstrate those values to their customers and employees. The Do Some Good platform allows businesses to make a bigger impact with existing donation budgets, saves time in managing charitable programs, and empowers charities, employees, and customers to become brand ambassadors. Their platform also helps to foster volunteerism, which supports every nonprofit and charity, and also helps youth and students get more involved in the community. Throughout the process of developing a Tech for Good platform and becoming a B Corp and social enterprise, the Do Something Good team has gained a depth of expertise in the area of CSR. They've learned how much employees and customers are aligning themselves with good companies, and how companies that are effectively capturing and sharing the good they're doing helps them build a positive brand, increase customer loyalty, and engage their employees. I will now turn it over to Jeff Hufford, General Manager at Do Some Good. Over to you, Jeff.
Thank you so much, Sylvie. So my name is Jeff Hufford, General Manager here at Do Some Good, and I'd like to introduce Sheldon Gardner. He is the founder and CEO of Do Some Good and is also on the call with us today. So at the end of the call today, or at the end of the presentation, sorry, we're going to take questions, and I'll walk you through the presentation today, Doing Good is Good Business. So the subtitle here is CSR isn't just a fad or trend, and so there's an increased demand right now, not only from employees, but also customers to see companies that are doing good. Sheldon and I were at a Sustainable Brands Conference in Vancouver last year, and there was an ongoing theme that if CSR, community giving, or charitable giving weren't somehow part of your company, that it would impact, your company in a way, because people are demanding it, and this is what they truly want from companies. So I want to get into a little bit what is CSR. For a small company, CSR sounds big or scary, but don't let that term fool you. There are many definitions out there, but simply put, it's about doing good. It's about operating your company in a way that really focuses on society, the environment, making sure that you're being a corporate citizen within the global kind of community here. Now, there's always been a debate, kind of, should you grow your business first and then give back? But I want to mention two key points here. One is that CSR doesn't have to be monetary. It can be something really any business can do, no matter how big, no matter how small you are, or where you're at in your growth stage. And I'll share a couple examples here with you in a few slides about what are some of the things you could be doing. The second thing is that CSR can actually help your growth. So if you are a smaller company, this can be part of your strategy as far as appealing to employees and customers. So there is a big opportunity, and I want to look at that. So there's a really big opportunity here for good companies to truly thrive. So there's a movement happening. Essentially, customers want to do business with good companies and employees want to work for them. So 90% of consumers are likely to switch to a brand associated with a good cause. And you know, this is really important. You know, there's a local coffee shop here in Kelowna. This is where we're based out of. And they started implementing bamboo straws at their place. And what we saw is people got very loud on social media about this and said, only, you know, support this shop and they're doing great things. And it really pushed other companies to step up and also challenge them to do good, switching away from plastic. So people are going to talk about these things, whether you're doing good or the latter. And so it's really important to make sure that your company is focusing on those good things, because it is something that truly appeals to customers. It's not about you know, bragging about the good you're doing. It's really more about that transparency and building trust, both with customers and with employees. So this is a big one. The fact is that it's very likely that your company is already doing good. So the myth is that you have to do more. That's not true. You know, essentially you don't need to do anything more than you're actually doing right now. Because if you feel you have to do more, this typically leads to feelings that I don't have the time or resources. How am I going to pull this off? So that term CSR, it doesn't have to be complicated. There are larger companies that might have more formal volunteer programs or donation initiatives, but most companies, regardless of your size, are doing something. So I want to point out a few examples here. Yes, it could be your team going out and volunteering, but it also could be collecting goods for those in need. It could be raising awareness for a cause. You know, Pink Shirt Day, looking at opportunities to simply raise awareness for those worthy causes in your community. The example in the bottom right, sponsoring a team, that's a local company here. It's a husband and wife team, small company, but are doing their best as well to give back and to support local sports and local youth. It could also be how you dispose of your waste. It could be your supplier chain. So for us, a small thing is that our print cartridges are from a place that recycles them. They make sure it's all environmentally sound. And we see a lot of companies that are going more towards paperless and using less. So it's about those practices as well. And it can even be about the products you sell. And it can be as simple as acts of kindness. So it doesn't need to be these big things. Sheldon and I both grew up in small town Saskatchewan. One of the examples I always talk about is, you know, it was supporting a place like Jerry's Lumberyard, because he was one of those businesses that supported and sponsored our baseball or hockey teams. And so we chose to do business with Jerry's Lumberyard over the big box kind of guy because of those alignment of values. And a lot of people are choosing to do business in that way. So there's a question that your company should be asking. And that question is, how are you capturing and sharing the good that you're already doing in the community with both your customers and your employees? And quite often we see this Canadian humbleness about us. It's not about bragging about the good that you're doing. That's not what it's about at all. It's about making sure that these people, these customers, these employees who are wanting to know these things, that they're aware of them, about increasing transparency about those things. And that can be done in a very genuine, sincere way. especially if you're empowering ambassadors to help you share your giving story. And I'm going to show you some examples of this so you can kind of see it in practice. So to do this, I'm going to jump into some real life examples to show you how this truly applies of some companies that are successfully doing this already. We do some good work with small to large companies that are capturing and sharing the good they're doing. These include independently owned businesses, small restaurants, construction companies, a mix of everything. A quick disclaimer on this is that I'll be showing you some best practices of how good companies are using the Do Some Good platform to do so. But you can do these things on your own without our software. So I just want to be clear on that. And as I go through these examples, keep in mind that some of the examples I'm showing are medium-sized companies, but any company can implement the following best practices, no matter what your size is. So the first thing I want to point out is making sure that you're capturing and highlighting the good you do. So you're already doing the good, making sure that in some way that this is captured. There's a ton of research out there that refers to how being a good company helps with recruitment. This is a big issue amongst businesses. So how to attract talent, how to attract top talent, and how to attract employees that are loyal and committed that share those values, which really gives you a competitive advantage. So all demographics truly care about these things. I don't want to pigeonhole anything here. We've highlighted a stat that's about millennials. And the reason why is that there's research saying that by 2025, which is, coming quickly here, 75% of the workforce will be millennials. And those will truly be a huge group of the consumers as well. And this group, there's loads of research on how much this group truly cares about these values and about businesses being involved in the community. So it's so important to capture the good you're doing so that these demographics are aware, especially because many business owners are struggling with that shortage of labor. So there are a few things that we've highlighted here that are things you can capture. So whether it's the contributions you're making, the causes or the key pillars that your business cares about, sharing your values, what you believe in or your mission, as well as who are those charitable organizations that you support in some way or another. You can highlight testimonials, and this is important to have that third-party social proof from organizations and those you're supporting. And you can highlight things like charitable events or things you're supporting as well. So I'm going to take a moment and go outside of the presentation and just quickly go into our platform for a moment to show you an example of a profile, a way to capture and highlight the good that one of our good companies here is doing. So this is independently owned here, the Kelowna Toyota. They've chosen to share some things like their contributions, whether that's donation dollars or their team volunteerism in the community. They've shared what they believe in, some of their values, as well as those top causes that they support. They've also highlighted those organizations, those charities and nonprofits that they're giving back to or supporting in some way. And then they've highlighted testimonials, so how they've actually made an impact. And that is an extremely important part here, and what most people want to know is, how is the company making an impact in the community? And this is where charities and nonprofits can be massive ambassadors and really sharing what difference has been made from their support. There's also the storytelling side of things to make sure that they're truly highlighting the good you're doing through storytelling. And I'm going to go a little bit deeper into that in my next example here. So as I mentioned, ambassadors can help. So you don't have to do this on your own. So capturing this good not only benefits you with recruitment, but also with retention. So your current employees definitely want to know this as well. I mean, that's a big stat there saying 86% of millennials would consider leaving an employer if they found their CSR values to be lacking. So they truly care about these things. So it's important to get your employees involved, get them involved, and get others involved to help you share the good you're doing. Employees, customers, and those charities or nonprofits, those community organizations you support can definitely help, and that comes across in a very genuine and sincere way. So those ambassadors can help you not only share the good you're doing, but as I mentioned, the impact that you're making. And there's a lot of power in others helping you share your story. So this is an example of a few stories that were told when Interior Savings, a local credit union here, sent out their staff to go volunteer. And so it was the organizations really sharing, hey, we're so thankful and grateful for those employees coming out to help us. CMHA, posted a story saying again, it's great to see these volunteers coming out supporting us and the difference it's making. And you also saw employees and members and others contributing to those stories, which is very strong to help you highlight that good that you're doing. So not only being able to really truly capture and highlight that, but there's also a big opportunity here to be able to share it via your own website as well. So people are looking for this information. If they're coming to your website, they're looking for that community page or for that community section on your page. And it's an opportunity for you to really build trust, really to kind of share your values so that people can look at those and they're starting to align those values and learn more about who you truly are. So via your website, there's an opportunity to share those same types of stories, those testimonials, the impact you're making, so that it reflects your commitment to social impact. And as I started with there, these things don't need to be massive. It can be acts of kindness. It can be smaller things that you're sharing. It doesn't have to be those big donation check moments or team volunteerism. It can be the small things as well that truly matter to people. The stat there on the top talks about that consumers are actually willing to pay extra for both products or services from companies committed to social impact. So it's very interesting to see how this research is coming out and speaking to how people truly care about this. I'm going to show you a quick example here. This is the local Royal LePage here in Kelowna. And so you'll see up here, this is actually our icon. So they actually position their profile in our platform as another place to engage with their brand, but obviously much more on the community side and value side. And right on their main page, they've created a section here, Royal LePage Kelowna cares about our community. And they've embedded things like their impact and the organizations they supported, the testimonials, as well as the causes they support, and that storytelling aspect as well. So there is an opportunity not only to somehow capture this, but to share it. And your website is definitely one place to be sharing this with current employees, potential employees, as well as customers and prospective customers. So as I mentioned, storytelling is key. And the one thing I want to mention here is that many companies typically sometimes get nervous about this, thinking that it does have to be big, like those big kind of moments where you're out volunteering as a team. And for a small company, you might not be able to do that. So this can be as simple as sharing random acts of kindness or raising awareness for a specific cause, or that the business could recognize an employee or a customer or a partner of theirs for the good that they're doing. So it's really about highlighting good stories and making that part of your culture and making that part of your storytelling of who you are. And that stat speaks to the fact that consumers and customers are really wanting businesses to really focus not only on the business's interests, but on society's interests. And through storytelling, this is a way to do so. Just very quickly here, I'm going to take you, we do have an app, but what I want to highlight here is some of the storytelling going on this week. Now, it's National Volunteer Week right now, but what we're seeing is a variety of companies and organizations and employees all sharing stories of recognizing employees that are giving back, why they volunteer and give back, organizations recognizing the businesses for the good they're doing in the community, employees sharing kind of some of the causes they care about and how they're getting involved. So these are all the types of stories showing how people are giving back and how community is part of this storytelling. So CSR and doing good is really about building trust. So we've looked at capturing the good that you're already doing. We've looked at kind of how you can include this on your website and sharing this via storytelling and pushing that out to social media. But this should be integrated into your daily practices. So there's no better way to drive attention to the good you're doing than linking this from your email signature. You are basically sending out regular communications, whether you're communicating with customers, employees, whoever it might be. And if this is integrated into your email signature, it makes CSR become part of your company's narrative and your culture. So Prospera Credit Union includes an icon here that links to the place they capture their good, but they also put a link here, member of the Good Company Network, and that links to their profile on Do Some Good. But you could link it to wherever you're kind of capturing and highlighting that good you're doing. Another way to integrate this into kind of your culture is looking at your hiring practices. So as we touched on before, this is something that job seekers are looking for. So making sure to include CSR and doing good in strategic places like career postings is really important. It helps you differentiate from other jobs. It helps you attract top talent, and really helps you find more committed and loyal employees because they share the same values. Now, I know I went through that a little quick, but I want to make sure I kind of point out a couple key things here. So one is about building that positive brand, capturing and highlighting that good that you do, and empowering your employees, your customers, and those charities and nonprofits that you're supporting to become your positive brand ambassadors. And then two, a way to kind of share your giving story. So whether that's via your website, social media, or how you integrate this into things like your email signature, career postings is important as you communicate with customers and employees. CSR really, it's not a fad or a trend. It's not going away. You're already doing good, so it's very important to capture this because people want to know about it. And it doesn't have to be big or scary. There are very easy and quick ways to implement this, no matter how big or small your company is. So, it's very interesting. These are two key steps. CSR is continuing to evolve. We talk about Giving 2.0. And that really includes aligning your giving with what your customers and your employees care about. And this is something we're continuing to work with companies on, really making sure that you're showing that you care about who your employees are and what they care about and who your customers are. And that really is about furthering building that trust and loyalty and commitment from those groups. Now, we couldn't get to the end of this without going into the return here. So this presentation is about doing good is good business. And so to give an example of that, we just want to talk about that there are some measurables here. There is a return on investment. And so the screen is a bit busy, but what I'm trying to make sure we highlight here is that there are research and assumptions that can be made on how this truly can impact your business and your bottom line. So this is a sample company at a size of around 10 employees. These are average numbers that we collected. You could argue that some might be high, and you could argue that some of the assumptions are quite low. The point I want to get across here, though, is that there is an actual ROI. And so a couple things that aren't even included in this on the screen right now. I haven't put numbers towards customer attraction or employee recruitment. And it is tough to measure and put numbers towards this. But as far as brand, customer loyalty, employee retention, and employee commitment, we've made some assumptions to really show that this isn't just a nice to have. You know, and that's been an argument for years, is some of this is, oh, it's a nice to have within your business. There's so much research right now speaking to the fact that it has that measurable return. There was actually a study from Volunteer Canada and Great Workplaces that did a study that just came out this month that's brand new, that has some very intriguing numbers that really speak to the return on this. So what they speak to, one of the areas with recruitment, is that good companies actually receive more applications and they attract more top quality applications, which really is a reflection of, you know, their enhanced internal and external brand. And the impact of that is significant. It reduces recruiting costs, it increases bottom line based on really hiring more committed, skilled, and talented employees. So that is where we kind of want to stop for today. I want to really thank everyone who's attending and anyone who's watching this video. If you are interested in learning more about, you know, Do Some Good or any of these things we've talked about, please reach out and say hi. And I'm now gonna open it up for questions. So Sylvie and Sheldon are gonna join us, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have.
Great, thank you so much. So our first question is, all these companies who are doing volunteer hours, are these paid volunteer hours or just advertising that volunteer hours that their employees are doing on their own outside of work hours? That's a great question.
Thank you very much for that, Sylvie. My name is Sheldon. Jeff introduced me at the start of the webinar, and I also want to say, first off, thank you for everybody participating. We're really excited about the growth of the Good Company movement across Canada. Just want to say thank you for participating. On the question of paid hours versus outside working hours, I think most of the companies that Jeff showed you on those screenshots, in fact, probably 90% of the companies we work with, the employee volunteerism is not on paid time. So the companies generally encourage their employees to volunteer. There may be the odd time where they can get off a little bit earlier from work to participate at a board level. Maybe they're volunteering on a board of directors, they're volunteering skilled volunteerism. And those employees in volunteering can, you know, be brand ambassadors and can help attract customers. But most companies cannot afford to give employees paid volunteerism. Some of our credit unions that we have do have formal programs, but most, if not, probably 95% of the companies do not have paid volunteer time.
Great. Next question. Something else just came in. Hang on a second here. I agree with the importance of letting people know of the good we do. However, then we get bombarded with requests for donations, etc. How do we balance the two?
Well, that's a very good question. And first off, there is software for dealing with donation requests. So in fact, our platform has a donation request system built into it. But you know, there's companies out there, they're going to get probably bombarded with donation requests whether or not you share the good that you do, because you know, people just know that companies that make money are a good place to go get donations. We like to use the term turn donation requests into business opportunities. And some of the donation requests and some of the organizations have very large audiences. And you know, again, we're in this for the good, but charities can absolutely be business partners. And some of those, sometimes you can learn about organizations that maybe you didn't know about. But our donation request system, for example, asks questions like, how are we going to be recognized? How can you share the good that we do? How big is your audience? So we actually help companies make much more strategic donation decisions. Our system actually helps companies deal with donation, being bombarded by donation requests. So.
Great, thank you. So we have another question here. I would like to understand more about exactly what Do Some Good is. Is this a subscription of some sort to be involved in?
I think that would be a question, Sylvie, we'd be happy to address this question direct. Yes, there is a subscription model. We even have a free version of our platform, but it's something we would be happy to talk to you direct. This webinar was more for information purposes and educational purposes, so we'd rather keep it to that level, but we'd be happy to talk to you direct about that. So.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Yes, we have all the participants have all their contact information, so we'll be reaching out to the person who asked that question. Next question is, how do you create a link for your email signature?
Jeff, do you want to handle that one? Yeah, it really depends on where you're sending people. So if you did have let's say you had a community page on your website, you could link it to there. Essentially, any email client allows you to highlight text and add a link to be able to link it to somewhere, whether it's a web page, whether it's a profile somewhere, whatever it might be. So we do have some companies that just say something like, check out what we're doing in the community, and link that to either their profile and in this case, wherever you're capturing that good. So email clients should allow you to do that just by highlighting the text and entering a link to it.
Super, thank you. So next question, what are your thoughts about creating our own foundation?
Well, we're definitely not foundation experts. Probably my general thought, because I've worked with a lot of business owners and I've worked with, I myself have a quasi foundation. It's a lot of work, and it's quite a bit of money for legal and accounting expenses to manage that foundation on an annual basis. There are other alternatives, including gift funds and other alternatives that exist in the marketplace. Again, we would be happy to provide the links that we know about, but we're generally not experts on foundations, but we'd be happy to provide some of the links, including gift funds that some of our companies have set up. So Sylvia, I guess that one might be, if they want those links, we'd be happy to send that back to. So. Okay,
great. Yeah. So there's going to be a survey at the end. So any extra things that people want to request, they'll be able to do that in there. We have some more questions coming in. Just give me a second here. Okay, if we collect money for a charity, do we have to register ourselves with a government organization, or do we just collect and give?
I think that's a question that, depending on your situation, if it's a charity, that's best organized between you and the charity. And in fact, I think there are even some laws on that. But, say you're working with a charity in your local market, that is best to have an agreement with that charity. And if you're using the charity logo, if you're using them as if you're advertising that the fact that you are supporting a charity, you're collecting money on behalf of a charity, it's really important to make sure that you have a written agreement with that charity. And in terms of giving the money, there's several options on that, but just make sure that the agreement with the charity and the charity that you're working with is on basically on the same page with all the things that you're doing. So.
And the one thing I'll add there as well is in doing good, it really is all about honesty and transparency. So if you were collecting money, if customers were contributing, whoever's contributing to that would be given to the charity or nonprofit, making sure that's within your communications, making sure that you're saying that, on behalf of our company and our customers, we're giving this donation, because people want to make sure that they're clear on kind of that transparency.
Okay, great, thank you. Next question. So, if I understand, your company, Do Some Good, can be hired to help my company become better with CSR.
We are a tech platform, but I guess embedded in that, we also help companies do good. That would be a fair statement, correct? Sometimes we feel we're a part consulting company, but we are a tech company, so we offer our advice and our consulting for free for our customers, and a lot of times it's not just us that offers that advice. We encourage our customers to share best practices with other businesses. We're all learning, the space is evolving, so a lot of times we're learning from our customers, and our customers are learning from us, and we're all learning together. So we share a lot of best practices amongst the businesses in our network.
Great, thank you. We have another question. Do you have any suggestions to engage employees who don't usually sign up to volunteer at the company?
We have that happen quite often. First off, what we're really excited about is a lot of companies, most companies that come on, through and again, I don't want to be salesy on this, but the fact that it makes it easy for an employee to get involved. We see more employees getting involved with volunteer opportunities, and that really excites us because we are built to do as much good as we can. So voluntelling, employees being voluntold to volunteer just doesn't work. It in fact is like raising kids. I've got 2 teenage daughters, and telling your kids, it doesn't work. So employees are the same way, but giving them the opportunity, giving them sometimes some flexibility in their work schedules. There's a lot of best practices around this in terms of engaging employees, and there is a bit more science on this about what can work and what doesn't work. So yes, so good question.
Okay, so I think that's all. Just one more second here.
And Sylvia, on that one, we'd be happy to talk on the suggestions on the engaging employees. We'd be happy to share our knowledge with that person as well, if you're happy to talk to them.
Okay. I'm just gonna. Oh, and I've got other people saying I would like that knowledge as well. Just answering some of the administrative questions here. So if you've indicated that you want that kind of information in the panel box, we will be providing that to Sheldon and to Jeff so that they can answer you. Okay, so there's a question here. I'm not sure that I understand that you're a tech company. I guess maybe clarify that.
I'm sorry, Sylvie?
Yeah, the question says, I'm not sure that I understand when Sheldon says it's a tech company. Let me just send it over here.
Yeah, I guess I mentioned that we get asked a lot of questions by businesses in terms of how to help them do good better. That was one of the questions that came in. So it feels like we are a lot of times it feels like we are a consulting company. But we love helping companies do good better because our mission is to make as big of an impact with our technology as we can. So we're happy to help our customers, and even in fact, we're just happy to help our non-customers. So it sometimes feels like we are a consulting company, but like I said, a lot of times we share best practices of companies that are leading in this space, and it's not us, it's really the companies that we work with that we can just share what they're doing, and then other companies can replicate it.
Okay, great. I'm just reading through here. Just before I keep going, I just want to remind everyone, if you haven't had a chance to grab the handout, please go to the handout section in the panel so you can have a copy. If you can't find it, if you're having challenges that way, you can always send an email to webinars@cfib.ca and we'll send you one. There's a question around, do we provide attendance certificates? That is not something that we provide. I apologize. So I think that is it for the questions. I'm just seeing requests for the same sort of information that we're going to pass out. So I'd like to thank you, Jeff and Sheldon, for being with us here today. Oh, hold on, something just snuck in. Give me a second. I think, okay, no, I think we're okay for now. Oh, well, somebody wants to ask one more question. Go ahead. Okay, so what's coming through is the question, well, there's a statement, time is our biggest problem. We work 7 days a week from 10 to 7 p.m. All right, well, here's what I'm going to suggest. If you just put the question in the survey, then we'll make sure that somebody can follow up with you on whatever the full question is. So just going to circle back. Remember, you're going to be getting an email with the recording to this session. Excuse me. And I'd like again to thank Jeff and Sheldon today, and I will now end the webinar.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.